Basically, you guys made me do this. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through all of the super hyped up books that are on my physical and on my ebook TBR. I have seen this video done by Beth from Booksnest and I thought it was such a great idea that I went straight to my bookshelf and had a look at what was on mine. These are the books that I have seen talked about constantly. They come up in so many videos and there's quite a few of them that made me go out and specifically buy them, even if it's not a genre that I would tend to go for, or even if it is a genre that I am completely in love with. These books are the ones that you guys made me put on my TBR. So, first one on the list is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This one is kind of an anomaly because I would have bought this one anyway. I read The Hate You Give when it first came out in 2017 and I absolutely adored it. It's such a fantastic book. But I haven't read this one yet because I am quite scared that it's not going to live up to that. I know that this is a great book and I know that this is one that I'm going to really enjoy. I was actually at a virtual book club meeting last night and one of the other people there had already read this book and she said that it is just as good as The Hate You Give. I just really need to kind of kick myself up the butt and go and actually read it. So, as far as I understand, this one is about Bree, who is 16 years old and wants to follow in her late father's footsteps and become a rapper. That situation all escalates when she and her mother are evicted from their home and she needs to not just rap because she's enjoying it, but also do it to survive. So she enters a competition, as far as I'm aware, to try and win a cash prize to get their life back on track. Next on the list is definitely a new venture for me. I have heard so much about this book and I know that it's very polarizing. I know that a lot of people love it and I know that a lot of people are very concerned about the subject matter. That is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I bought this one when I was in the Netherlands in August of 2020. I've heard a lot of things about this. I know what it's about. I know that it is about a relationship between a teacher and one of their students. And the student then looks back on it a couple of decades later and is trying to figure out whether or not this was consensual, whether or not this is something that they wanted to be in the first place, and is then trying to come to terms with that relationship and what it meant for their life as they were growing up and how it's formed them as a person now. It's something that I have watched on TV. It's something that I have seen in movies. And it's a storyline that I think, when it's done very well, can make very interesting viewing or reading. So I'm hoping that if it's done really well, it's going to be something that I'm going to like discussed, but I'm probably not going to enjoy the storyline. So I'm kind of hoping that this is one that I'm going to like for the writing, rather than specifically focusing on what's happening. Another book that I have seen so many people reading and loving and talking about is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This would be the second of Bernardine's books that I've read. I've also read Mr. Loverman and really loved that one too. This, I understand, is about 12 different women who live in London, how their lives interact and intertwine, and kind of a fictionalized retelling of all of their lives, what it's like to live in London as a black woman, as a lesbian black woman, as an LGBT black woman. I am really excited about huge casts of characters and I love kind of looking at people's lives through a lens when there's so many of them and seeing how they compare to all of the different people that they know. So I have a feeling that that is going to make this a really great read for me. Next one on the list is a second book in a series that I've already started and absolutely adored the first book of. So that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I've got this one on a physical copy and I've also got it on my Kindle. And I have a copy of Act Your Age, Eve Brown from NetGalley, so on my Kindle. And I also am going to be on the lookout for the physical book when it gets to Germany. I utterly adored Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Danny was one of my favourites from the side characters that were there. I think she might be my favourite of the three sisters. So I am really interested to see how this book is going to play out. I understand that it is a fake dating romance situation, and that is something that I really enjoy reading. I love reading a fake dating romance, so this one is definitely going to be up my street. The next two on the list didn't just come from BookTube, they also came from a personal recommendation from somebody whose opinion I value, not just in books, but in life. My dad. he and I swap books together quite a lot. We know what each other really enjoys. We know the books that are going to entertain the other, and we know what not to give each other. So when he had read The Hunting Party and The Guest List by Lucy Foley, he had an idea that these were the kind of books that I would enjoy. I have heard quite a lot of these on BookTube. I've heard them coming up a lot on book blogs, and I've seen them everywhere on Bookstagram. So I know that these two books are very loved throughout the book community. It's just something that I haven't read yet. One of them, I think The Guest List is about a wedding that takes place on an island off the coast of Ireland. And it feels like a locked-in mystery. Whereas I'm not sure about this one, but I feel like this is also at a New Year's Eve party or some kind of a party like that. And I think there's also a locked-in element to it, but I'm really excited to get to both of them. The next one on the list is an ebook of Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. So many people are loving this one. Aoife from Words of Clover has loved it. Shannon from 155 Books actually just finished it yesterday, gave it 5 stars and told us she spent the last 20 or so pages crying. In our little group chat, there are a couple of us who've read the book and every single one of them has loved it. And I think everybody that I've seen who's read Hamlet has absolutely loved it too. So I'm now very concerned about whether I'm also going to enjoy it. From my understanding of the book, it is a kind of fictionalized version of the life of Hamlet, who is Shakespeare's son who passed away in infancy. And also about how this death and how this loss that Shakespeare went through inspired him to write one of his greatest plays, Hamlet, which is about 600 years long. But it's one of my favourite plays. It was one of my favourite Shakespearean works, and it's the one that I studied for my Leaving Cert. So I have that little connection to it that I kind of know what that story is about. I would really like to see the origin story of how Hamlet came to be. But I really need to psych myself up for that because so many people who've also said that they loved it said it's quite an emotional kick in the guts. The last one on the list is definitely going down a new road for me. My Sister the Serial Killer by Okinawa Braithwaite. I am worried and scared. I am not a big horror reader, and I've said that a few times. I've said horror, not my genre. But I was just so caught up in the storyline of what this is. From my understanding, this is about a woman whose sister is a serial killer and has mainly murdered a lot of the boyfriends that she's had in the past. And the problem now is that her sister is dating a co-worker or a friend of hers, and now she's worried about this guy coming to the same conclusion as all of the other guys have gone through, and she's kind of trying to not just prevent that, but actually stop it happening. I'm very worried about how I'm going to think of any of those books, but if there's one of those that you think I should definitely start with, please do let me know in the comments because I am really excited to get to all of these books and see if I've loved them just as much as you have. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.